Chapter 11. Getting over James is going to be harder than I thought. I just can't stop thinking about him. His memory is everywhere. Especially when I look at the photos that he took for me. Ugh. I close my phone and grab my empty water bottle over the open textbook I trying to study and head for the kitchen. When I open the door, I'm surprised to see a dark hooded figure. Evan? I startled. He was still sitting at the kitchen table in the dark, curled over the table and leaning against the wall, his legs outstretched across the only other chair in the tiny space. He flicks on the light and blankly looks at me before grunting in reply. He pulls his hood back before resting his head on the wall again. Nate must have her out late tonight. Awkwardly, I step over to him and put my water bottle on the table. He glances over at me and moves his feet. I take that as an invitation to sit, so I do. Evan? I ask again, but softer. He looks at me fully this time, and I bring a knee up to my chest to hide behind. He lets out a deep sigh, and it makes me wonder how long he's been holding it. What the hell am I doing, Fox? He asks me and chuckles. I don't know how to answer, so I trace a pattern on my knee. She was my first girlfriend. That might not mean a lot to most people, but it did for me. I really liked her. Not just for a few minutes. He works out and I'm staring at him now. She was so smart. And kind. And she could dance like, never mind. But she was real, you know? He asks me, and I wonder if he really wants an answer. I wanted to be different with her. To change. I know how that sounds, guys never change and all that, but she made me want to grow up. Holy shit. Evan did have feelings. Big feelings. And now, do I? I shake my head to myself. He was only doing this for her. There's no way he'll ever date someone again after that. I take a small breath. Well, if you want to change, it should be for you. Not because someone else wants you to. You can do it on your own without her. I tell him slowly. His blue eyes look up at me and I can't help but stare at them. This is the first time I've seen them this blue since we first met. I gulp a swallow when his eyes roam my face. Yeah, he says, looking at my mouth. I could try. He trails off. Okay. I slowly say, but it's so small it comes out as a sigh. I let my eyes wander to his mouth, and he really does have a great mouth. He seems to know I'm looking at him, and it breaks the moment. I could try. He says again. Louder, stronger this time. He clears his throat. Good. I snap out of it as well. A little disappointed. You could maybe start with a haircut? I suggest and shrug. His hand subconsciously goes to run through his longer hair and I smile at him. He senses I'm teasing him and smiles back at me. Before I get the chance to be dazzled anymore by his charm, Alex chooses now to come home and bursts in through the door with Nate in tow behind her. I bolt up from my chair, just about knocking it over. Hey guys, I try to say casually but overdo it, and turn to fill my water bottle at the sink. Hey. Evan? Alex asks, and now he also stands. Yeah, I just came over to talk. I texted you about 100 times. What? No. Alex takes out her phone. Oh. She says, thumbing through her notifications. Do you want to talk now? She asks. No, I'm okay tonight. He answers, and I peek over my shoulder to see him looking right at me. He gives me a wink when I catch his eyes so nobody else sees. I can't help but get lost in his eyes. He stares into me like he sees me. I jump when the cold water overflows my water bottle and rushes over my hand. Startled, I slam off the tap and quickly grab the lid. Well, good night then, I call out to them all, not wanting to look at Evan again. For the second time that night I lean back against the door and sigh when I hear the soft catch of the door close. A couple days later, I'm sitting in the kitchen minding my own business. I need to get ahead in my sociology class readings because it's very easy to fall behind in that class. especially when you have other things on your mind. I have the book open in front of me and am eating my pudding cup at the same time when the door swings open and Evan walks in. Gone is the boy filled with heartbreak and dread. He looks taller somehow, as if a weight has been lifted off of him. He also seems to have taken my suggestion to cut his hair, and it looks so soft I want to run my fingers through it. I clasp my hands together under the table. No way I'm doing that. Oh, hey, he says and looks around at my mess. He raises an eyebrow. Chocolate? The best kind. I tell him and he smiles. Do you want one? I ask after a beat, blinded by his smile. Hold it together. No, thanks. He hesitates, then pulls out the chair across from me to sit on. I realize now that I'm in baggy sweats with no makeup. He doesn't say anything, but I carefully pat my unwashed hair anyway. Listen, Tara, he says, and I jump at him using my real name. His easy smile falters and he looks worried. Oh, God, that's your name, isn't it? His eyes get bigger. Yes, you've always called me Fox? I recover and look at him quizzically. Oh, right, he lets out a breath and chuckles to himself. I'm turning over a new leaf. He beams at me. Are you feeling all right? I ask and cock my head to the side, the smile growing on my face by the second. He shoots me back an easy grin, and my stomach does a flop. Then he leans forward in his chair, and my stomach does 9 more flip-flops. So, Alex, Nate, and I were going to do something tonight, but they backed out on me. Figures. But I was wondering if maybe you wanted to hang out. He asks the last part in a rush, and I see him picking at a string on his jeans. I'm floored by his invitation. What did you have in mind? I ask and he beams at me like I've agreed. It's a surprise, he says, and gets to his feet. Just wear something comfy and be ready by 5? Tonight? I still have school tomorrow. And a test, I protest, and that stops him in his tracks. Oh, right. Don't worry, we won't be out too late. It's pretty low-key. He assures me. Opening the door, he shoots me one more grin before leaving. I didn't even have time to react. Sitting back in my chair, I replay the last couple minutes in my head over and over. What just happened? Is this a date? No. It's not a date. I would know if it were a date. Right? It's just 2 people hanging out because their exes are dating each other, and we are totally fine in each other's presence. Besides, it's not like I'm going to date Evan. He's just Evan. I sigh and throw away my empty pudding cup. What have I gotten myself into? Chapter 12. I know. But I really liked him. I tell my sister. She yells at me over the phone about the same breakup things, giving me the same advice for the millionth time. I know. I'll delete the photos. I know, I'll forget about him. I repeat back to her. I even believe her when she tells me it's for the better. It has to be. Right? I love you, too, I tell her and finally hang up. A decide now is the perfect time to listen to angry breakup songs, so I sit down and start to make myself a playlist. I'm in the middle of a Carrie Underwood hit when I hear Alex banging around in the kitchen. I can only assume she's talking to Jordan because of the way they can laugh and fight in the same breath. I pause and go out into the kitchen to say hey, and find her on FaceTime with Jordan. They seem to be having a bet about whether or not Alex has certain spices in her kitchen supplies. Ha! See, Paisley. Right here. Hold it closer so I can see the label, crazy. I am. It's not my fault you can't just read it. You're the one who claims to love cooking and never use it. Or cook for that matter. I cook all the time. Just ask Tara. She moves out of the way and I see Jordan on her phone screen. I wave awkwardly. What? I hesitate. You've seen me cook, right? I stop and think. Have I ever seen her cook since we've been here? Usually I catch Nate doing the dishes for her, but mostly take out containers. The answer must be written on my face, because Jordan bursts out laughing. Alex, you are so lying. She quickly moves in front of the camera and looks at me again. I just mouth sorry and shrug because I don't know what else to do. Well, that's because I haven't had time yet. University classes are way more time-consuming than just high school classes, you know. Don't worry about it, she mouths back to me and takes her phone back onto her room. What about those fancy cooking tools Dad got you? Where are those? I hear Jordan ask, and they're at it again. I sigh and open up the fridge. Standing there for a few moments, I decide to warm up some of my leftovers before going back into my own room. I make it a point to finish my textbook notes before I let myself panic about this meeting with Evan. I'm refusing to call it a date, so meeting it is. He can be kind of sweet when he's not being a womanizer and high-fiving everybody. I don't know what to think. I brush out my hair and pull on my favorite shirt with flowers on it and throw on my jacket I wear basically every day at this point in the semester. I don't think I'm trying to impress anybody anymore. My phone chimes. I'm here. Shit. Do I tell Alex where I'm going? Do I just leave? I hear her go into the bathroom and close the door. Now or never. I grab my phone and wallet and head downstairs. Apparently here means something different to Evan. Because when I get downstairs, he's nowhere to be found. I pull out my phone and text him back. Where? I look around uneasily again. Other residents come and go, but no one that looks like Evan. A couple is making out on the couch in the corner and I cringe. My phone chimes again. Sorry, I meant in the city. Can we meet down the street? There's a little cafe I'd love to take me. Is this a date? Before I can process this, he drops a pen and I immediately know the place. I've overheard students in my poetry class talk about it because they sometimes do readings there. I always wanted to check it out, I've just never had time or someone to go with before. Now I do. I quickly text Evan that I'm on my way and rush out the doors. Making my way down the street, I study the cute little shop called the Dirtbag Cafe. The front is mostly made of glass, so it reflects the other side of the street and the cars that drive by. Wishing I dressed warmer, I shove my hands into my jacket pockets that does little to combat the cold. The wind is no doubt making my cheeks rosy, and I confirm it when I look at myself in the glass of the cafe. I do my best to ignore it and pull open the door. I happen to enter just as Evan is sitting down at a table. There are few students here, but not many on this cold day. Plants hang everywhere, especially in the corners which are overrun and branching out along the walls. Rows of pots grow in the windows, making the room a sea of green. The front is also decorated in a warm and welcoming winter decor, and I already feel at home here. I take a deep calming breath before making my way over to him. I must surprise him because he raises his eyebrows and quickly stands before sitting down at the same time as me. Hey, he grins. His own face flushed from the cold. I look everywhere but him. Hey, I answer, glad for the disguise over my blush. Look, he sighs, I just want to get it out of the way. I'm sorry about what happened. I didn't know Cassie was like that. Believe me, I wouldn't have brought her around if I knew she was capable of that. Oh no, it's not your fault. I tell him and instinctively reach my hand across the table to his. When we touch, I feel a pulse of electricity and pull away. He must have felt it too because his eyes widen and he can't stop staring at our hands. I stutter. Calm down. I take another deep breath to collect myself before starting again. He said they met in a mutual class. It would have happened anyway. If not with her, then someone else. And I'm sorry to say, but it sounds like Cassie would have done the same as well. He finally looks up at me, then at my hand resting on the table next to his, then back at me. It's not your fault either. He tells me and moves his hand over mine. The warmth of his hand sends another pulse through me, but this time I can't pull away. What is happening to me? Evan? He reluctantly looks away from me and awkwardly turns his attention to our waitress. A young girl in a black apron who looks about our age gives him a smile. I feel a weird tension in the air. It is you. How are you? She beams at him. Elizabeth. He says slowly, and I notice how he withdraws his hand from the table and slinks back into his chair. The room seems to get smaller around us. Bet you didn't think I'd do it. She giggles. Well, here I am. Small town girl moved to the big city. Her bubbly personality would be cute if it wasn't ruining the moment. He gives her a small smile and tries not to let his disappointment of her interruption show on his face. That's awesome. I'm proud of you. He leans forward in his chair and nods at me. Elizabeth, this is Chapter 13. The next day, I go to my sociology class and kill the pop quiz. My victory high is short-lived though, because as soon as I get back to my dorm, I remember my date with Evan. Like official date with Evan. My heart hasn't stopped fluttering since he asked me out on a proper date last night, so I try on my whole closet looking for something to wear because I'm a nervous wreck. The mid-November weather is cold, so I try to find something that will match my gloves and beanie. With comfortable jeans and a knit pullover, I hope I'm wearing enough to keep me warm. I steady myself in the mirror, then braid and unbraid my long hair. With a frustrated sigh, I leave it down and sit on the edge of my bed. With a bang, the front door opens and I hear Alex mutter to herself. I jump up and open my door to find her carrying groceries into the kitchen area. When she sees me, she looks me up and down and whistles. Damn, Tara. Hot date? I blush and try to hide it. Oh, no. I wave my hands. I'm just trying on my wardrobe. I tell her. She gives me an hush-sure look and I blush again. I go back in my room and sit on the bed, listening to her put away her groceries while my heart hammers in my chest. Calm down. But it's no use. Evan's coming. He'll be here tonight. Should I say something to her? As I think this, he walks in the door. Where do you want this thing once I finally get it in here? He asks, but stops short when he sees me. Jumping up to my doorway when I hear his voice, I feel his blue eyes full of electricity as they roam my outfit. He licks his lips and I can tell he really wants to say something, but he doesn't. In fact, he changes his face to almost a look of disinterested disgust before turning back to Alex. Oh, just get it in here, she says and closes the fridge. He raises his eyebrows at her. Okay. Back wall by my desk. He gives her a smug look before walking back out the door. What just happened? Did I imagine yesterday? I thought we were getting along. I thought we were having a date. Hurt and a little wounded, I offer to help Alex put the last few things away. Then I finally ask her what's going on. The strangest thing. When I called Evan and asked if he would help me move some stuff today, he actually agreed. I didn't even have to bribe him or anything. She tells me. There must be something going on with him. Must be. I agree. And not the Cassie breakup, something else. She wonders out loud. I don't know what to say to that, so I just keep quiet. Something else? He comes back half carrying, half dragging a large box of what looks like furniture through our front door. He gives Alex a death glare and heaves a deep sigh before continuing his dragging into Alex's bedroom. He doesn't look at me again. Thanks, Evan. Nate will be here tonight to help me set it up. You can just leave it in there. She calls out to him and heads for the bathroom. Hallelujah. He sarcastically remarks. Walking back out to only see me, he raises an eyebrow. Bathroom. I point and turn to the sink, looking for something to do to make it less awkward. I feel him walk up behind me and I freeze in place. His breath is close to my ear, but not as close as before. You smell good, too. Are you sure you don't have a hot date tonight? He whispers in my ear. Trying to be brave, I turn around and lean back against the sink to face him. I roll my eyes and cross my arms so he knows I'm mad at him. Why didn't you say something before? I wasn't sure Alex would approve of us, you know. He gestures between us. Besides, it's a little fun sneaking around. I don't know how I feel about sneaking around behind my friend and roommate's back, but I have to admit it was hot to see Evan undressing me with his eyes in secret. Okay, I understand. For now, let's just keep this between us. I pause. Whatever this is. He smiles at me and takes a small step closer. I close my eyes and breathe him in. So, is this what you're wearing tonight? He asks me in his smooth, deep voice. I can't answer him because his hand is playing with the ends of my hair and it's too distracting. The bathroom door handle starts turning loudly and Evan jumps away from me as Alex opens it. So, Ray should be here shortly. We're going out for a girls' night. If you want to come, Tara, she asks. Unless you do have a hot date and you're just not telling me, she asks sweetly. I try my absolute hardest not to look at Evan, but when I do sneak a little glance out of the corner of my eye, I find him staring right at me. I gulp. I'm busy tonight, actually. But I'll tell you if anything exciting happens, I swear. She doesn't buy it. She opens her mouth to say something again when her phone rings. Hey, Ray. She answers it, giving me what looks like the stink eye. I don't like being the center of attention, and Evan can tell as he tries not to laugh at me squirm. His blue eyes are so playful. A noticeable contrast to Alex, who is glaring trying to figure out what I'm hiding. Her dark eyes are murderous. I'm almost ready. Tara has a hot date and she won't tell me who it is. She blurts out. I try not to shift too much under their gazes while still trying to look comfortable resting against the sink. I'll tell her. She moves the phone away from her face. She said brothers before hoes. She shouts at me, even though I can make out Ray talking normally on the phone. Oh, leave her alone. Evan jumps in. And besides, isn't that a guy thing? No girls can have brothers too. She tells him and her phone while collecting her purse. No, I'm surprised it didn't work either. She says, like I'm not still in the same room as her. But we'll interrogate her later. I must have made a horrified expression because Evan chokes on his laughter again. What's wrong with you? Never mind, I have to go. See you guys. She starts to ask him, but instead waves over her shoulder. No, she hasn't told me about anyone. We hear her talking down the hallway to the elevator. The door slowly comes to a close, but neither of us moves. That was hell. I say. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. I didn't know they were that interested in me. You did great. He tells me. And I can see something in his eyes, but it's gone too soon. I'll pick you up at 8. I nod, because all my words are gone now. He smiles at me before opening the door and stepping out. Chapter 14. Being the nervous eater that I am, I decide to have a snack before meeting Evan. I don't know what we're going to be doing that needs me to dress warm, but a snack isn't a bad idea in case we aren't eating. It's just after 8 when he sends me a text that he's here. I scramble down the elevator and easily find Evan in the lobby. As I walk up to him, I can't help but stare openly and stupidly. He still dresses and looks hot, but he seems more relaxed. And a little more distant to everyone else in the room. Like he's not trying as hard to be the center of attention. Hey, he smiles at me while he shoves his hands in his pockets, then rocks awkwardly back on his heels. I wasn't sure you were going to come. He says sheepishly. Well, I'm here. I said, not wanting to think about why I actually did come. I don't want to betray Alex, but I'm curious about him. He nods and turns towards the door. I parked over here. He tells me and opens the main door for me. Evan. Hey, man. A couple guys walk past us and one goes for a high five. He does an awkward grimace but recovers with a fake smile and gives him a high five back. He doesn't say anything. See you around, man. They go inside. I raise an eyebrow at him and he shakes his head and keeps walking. I follow behind him and shamelessly look at his ass. Those are really nice jeans. He stops in front of his truck and turns around. I barely have time to look up again, but blush anyway. He grins like he knows what I was doing, then moves around and opens the passenger side door for me. Reluctantly, I follow him and get in. It's a nice truck, the seats aren't ripped up or anything, but I can tell it's not new. I do up my seatbelt as he climbs in his side. Where are we going again? I attempt to clear the air. You'll see. I said it was a surprise. He winks at me. I resist his charm and narrow my eyes at him. He laughs. Don't worry, I'm not an axe murderer or anything like that. I give him a skeptical look and he laughs again before starting the truck. I try to hide my own smile. Who knew I could make him laugh like that? We drive for a while, but don't talk. The city seems to be alive tonight, but pretty soon we're on our way out of the city. I turn from the window and look at Evan, but he just smiles and keeps looking at the road. After a few more minutes, we turn off the main highway and head in another direction. Evan? I ask. He hums sweetly, not aware of the butterflies growing in my stomach. What is this place? I mutter and look out the front windshield. Home. He says simply and I jump in my seat in surprise. It looks different in the dark than when I saw it on game night all those weeks ago. We drive past the still expensive-looking farmhouse. The 3 stories overlook the huge farmyard and I can see most of the lights in the house are out. I look back over at him as he continues to take us through the yard to park beside a huge barn. He runs a hand through his hair and finally turns to look at me. You brought me home? I ask, bewildered. He sucks in a breath and points up instead. Look. I lean forward and crane my neck to look through the windshield. What? Here, he says and opens his door. I throw open mine and follow him around the back of the truck. See. He says and points up again, looking at me expectantly. I follow his finger and gaze into the sky and gasp. The stars look beautiful on this perfectly clear night. I turn in a small circle and take in the whole sky. He starts laughing and opens the back gate of the truck. Here, sit down. He says and walks back to the cab and opens the back door. I lean against the open tailgate, but can't take my eyes off of the stars. A couple seconds later, he walks back with an arm full of blankets and lays them all out in the back of the box, then goes back once more. I hear the door slam and snap out of my trance. He's looking at around the side of the truck with a small cooler in his hand. So, he clears his throat. What do you think? He asks and awkwardly moves the cooler behind his back. I bite my lip but give in and give him a huge smile. I am a sucker for the night sky. My dad and I had our own telescope back home. I love it. But, how did you know? I ask confused. Oh, well. He scratches the back of his neck. That first day at school, when we were walking home from the club, well, Denny's actually, you kept looking up at the sky. Either you were really drunk or really wanted to see the stars. He tells me and fidgets with the edge of a blanket. I just stare at him. He noticed me the first day at school? I take a step back and gape at his tall, lean build. He finally looks up and notices me studying him, and I meet his blue eyes. How did you remember that? I ask, astonished. He shrugs and grins. I brought us some snacks if you want. I smile back at him and he climbs up effortlessly into the truck, then begins to rearrange the blankets he brought out. He curls up his legs and sits comfortably before patting a spot next to him. I have no idea what to even think anymore. I take in a small breath before not so graciously climbing up after him and settling in beside him. Sprite, he asks, and I shake my head. He reaches back inside the cooler. Pudding cup, he asks, hopeful, and I tip my head back and laugh. He's holding the same kind of chocolate pudding cup that I had been eating the other day. He smiles at me and puts it back inside. What else have you noticed about me? I ask when I catch my breath. He reaches over and flips my hair behind my shoulder and tucks it behind my ear. Just some things. He begins to search my face. He tickles my neck lightly with his fingertips and a shiver runs through my body. Clearing his throat, he points up to the sky. See, this is the perfect spot, because you can see the most constellations from here. I look up with him and listen to him point them out to me. When he's finished, I point out the ones that he missed and he looks over at me, impressed. You know your astronomy. He observes with raised eyebrows. I smile, then roll an awkward kink in my neck's getting sore. He shuffles some things so we can lay down and then throws a blanket over top of us. I notice we are sitting way too close together. What would Alex say? But I can't help but breathe in the scent of him. After a few seconds of overthinking and just listening to his breathing, I dare to snuggle closer to him. It's not really one of those things you think about, your body just does it. It also just makes you rest your head on a hot boy's chest while you figure out what to do with your hands so you don't get into trouble. Chapter 15. Evan walks towards me and I brace myself beside the bed. For what? I don't know. He could end it right here and now for all I know. He clenches his jaw, then takes my hand. Fox, he says softly, then winces. My heart drops. Tara, he starts again. I can't look at him anymore, so I stare down at my shoes. Why did I do that? He would have handled the situation. Why did I have to open my big mouth? I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. He says softly and grips my hand tighter, like I'm going to pull away. My head whips up to meet his gaze, but he quickly looks away. It's no secret that, in my past. He trails off and I can't talk it anymore. You're not mad at me? I ask in disbelief. What? At you? He asks puzzled and finally looks at me to see if I'm serious. How could I be mad at you? Well, because. I stutter and recognition washes over his face. For yelling at her? No, that was badass. He steps closer to me. I finally relax now that I know he's not mad at me at all. I try not to squirm under his gaze as he sweet-talks me. I would have yelled at her anyway, she deserved it. I breathed out. Oh? So, what are you referring to? He asks and moves close enough to put his mouth against my ear. Electricity zings through my body and all I can focus on is him. His scent. How close his body is to me. Where we're touching and where I want us to be touching. I hum after a beat, forgetting what he said last. He lightly traces his fingers up and down my bare arm and I feel the goosebumps rise all over my body. I run my hands up his chest and lace them around the back of his neck. He smirks in my ear and it causes my breathing to hitch. Evan, I breathe and I hear him quietly gasp in response. Before I can move any more though, we hear the front door burst open again. I freeze in place, but even seems less fazed. I'm sure she's here. I'll ask her. I hear Alex's voice from the other side of the door and I jump away from Evan. He looks down at me and I can tell he's amused. Alex knocks on my door and calls out, Tara? Are you here? Coming. I yell out and shove Evan into the clothes I have loosely hanging in my closet. His smile never fades. I smooth my hair out of my panicked face and when I'm satisfied that she won't see him, I finally open the door. Alex stands on the other side with her phone pressed to her ear. Ray wants to know if you want to come to the club with us again, she asks, and seems distracted by the grocery bag she's holding. Tonight? I ask. No, Saturday. As far as I knew, I didn't have any plans for Saturday. Just spending time with Evan. But the club sounds like fun. I haven't been there since the first day. Sure, I tell her. Sounds like fun. She nods and goes into the kitchen to unpack her bags. Yeah, she's in. Should I call Evan and see if he wants to come? Then it would be even numbers? She tells Ray on the phone and I slowly close my door again. But he's felt so bad since he got cheated on. We can hear her muffled voice say under the door. My eyes meet Evan's and his eyebrows raise in amusement. Is she setting us up? He whispers to me, and I smack his arm to be quiet. It would be so embarrassing for her to hear his phone ringing in my closet. I'm going to text him later anyway, she says, and finally goes into her room. With both our doors shut, it's hard to hear her. I let out a sigh of relief, but I'm still afraid she'll find me with her brother in my room. Okay, you need to go now, I tell him, as he untangles himself from my clothes. What? Why? He asks and comes closer. I can be quiet, he nibbles my ear and I giggle a little. You won't even know I'm here, he tells me, and I reluctantly push him back from me. Thank you for the flowers, I say, and kiss him before I chicken out. He reacts instantly and grabs onto me to hold me close. He pulls away to kiss my jawline, and I feel his stubble tickle me as he goes. You're welcome, he growls out, and I try my best to keep my knees from buckling. Are you smelling me? I jump. Like you haven't smelled me before. I can hear him rolling his eyes. You always smell good, Fox, he winces. I mean Tara. No, it's okay, I tell him. I kind of like it actually. Really? His eyes brighten. Yeah, no one's ever given me a nickname before. Never? He asks and puts his face back in my hair. Well, one time my sister called my T-Dog when she was going through her too cool for school phase. But it wasn't for long. He laughs in my ear. T-Dog? It was more like T-Dog, I say, stretching it out. Awkwardly. He laughs, and it makes me smile with him. Well, I like Fox better. Sexy as a fox, he says, and my face is on fire. God help me. I reluctantly push him away again. So, are you coming? On Saturday? I ask him, and he feigns mock surprise. Are you kidding? There's no way that I'd ever let anyone else dance with you. I love watching you dance, he says, and goes back in for my neck. Wait, what? When have you seen me dance? I push his chest back so he looks at me. He looks at me with a sheepish grin, like he had been caught red-handed. I may have seen you momentarily that first night when you were dancing at the club. I raised my eyebrows. You were watching me? It was hard not to, he answers and kisses my lips slowly. I hum happily at his confession and kiss him back one last time. Okay, then. I'll see you Saturday, I tell him and push him towards the door. He growls at me, but complies. I'll be downstairs around 9 when we leave. He kisses me goodbye. He somehow leaves so quietly, I don't think Alex even notices. I return to my room, which is now filled with flowers. A couple of days later, I start going through my closet to find the perfect outfit for tonight. I've had so much homework to do that I haven't had time yet. The butterflies in my stomach intensify when I think about dancing with Evan in the dark club. Alex gets home a short while later and brings Ray with her. Soon after, I get pushed into her room, with Ray curling my hair, and Alex singing along to Black Bear with a granola bar for a microphone. I find myself easily laughing along with them. It feels good to finally have some friends I can trust. I'm so caught up in my newfound bliss of a life that it takes me a full minute to figure out the music is turned down. There, all pretty now, Ray says to me and plays with my hair in the mirror while I admire her work. Tara? Alex calls out an alarm and I twist in my seat to look at her. What the hell is this? She shows me her phone and on screen is a video of me in the lobby with Evan holding the roses. I gulp. The next part shows the girl, Julia, coming up and slapping Evan. I know what happens next, and I'm sure Alex won't react well. Hey, let me see that. Ray grabs the phone from her and turns up the volume. My voice on the phone cuts through the music and we all hear what I said loud and clear. Yes, I am. Now leave, before you make an even bigger fool of yourself. Alex looks at me with wide eyes. What the hell, Tara? Chapter 16. What the hell, Tara? Her words echo in my head. I hold my breath and try to hold back my tears. I'd hate myself if I lost my friends. Is that why he's been so different lately? He's been dating you? She asks and I gasp. What dash? Yeah, he seems less asshole-ish lately. I didn't know it was you. Maybe you're good for him? Ray adds, and I breathe a sigh of relief. He does seem kind of different to me than when I first met him. I thought I imagined it because I wanted it to be true. So, you're not mad? I squeak out and look at my toes. Well, you could have told me, but no. I'm not mad, she says, and I look up to see her telling the truth. I let out a big sigh of relief and they both laugh. Now, let's finish getting ready. Tonight, we're wearing dresses. Dresses? I ask the same time Alex shouts dresses. It seems I've been outvoted. Here, try this on. Alex throws a skimpy dress at me. I start. If this goes the same way the shirt that I borrowed did, then there's no way I can fit into it. There's no way she's going to fit that. Ray reads my thoughts and snatches it away from me. Here, try this. She hands me a black dress instead. I eye it warily, but try it on because it's a size or two bigger. It's a body-hugging little black dress with a modest neckline and long sleeves. It reaches mid-thigh and I like it more than the skimpy dresses they're wearing. Damn girl. Evan won't be able to keep his hands off of you. I blush. I know they're just being nice, but I was never good with compliments. Really? I ask. Yeah, your ass is great. Now I just have to finish my eyes before we go. I end up helping her and continue to joke along with them, relieved that I still have my friends. We end up being late because I didn't have enough pregame drinks. So, we start dancing and sharing a 6-pack of beer in her room, and before we know it, it's past time to be downstairs. It was fun, but now it's after 9:30 and Evan said he would be here at 9. I pull out my phone out of my purse in the elevator to see I have a bunch of texts. All from him. Crap. The doors finally open and we stumble out. I find him easily with the other guys all lounging in the chairs in the corner of the lobby. He's smiling politely at something Chris is saying when his eyes turn to me. He does a full sweep of my dress and stalls on my legs before coming back up to my face again. I am burning inside. Hey, babe, Alex says to Nate and Ray goes over to Chris. Evan stands up and walks the last couple steps to me. You look beautiful, he tells me and leans in closer to my ear. I brace myself for something sexy. Don't ever leave me with those idiots when you look like that ever again, he jokes and I feel his breath on my neck. I try to laugh but shudder instead. Hey, you guys ready? Alex asks with a wink and Evan pulls me along beside him. Good thing, because I think I forget how to walk. I'm afraid there might be a big awkward confrontation between Alex and Evan about us going out, but if there is, or was, I never noticed. When we get to the club, the night is just starting. Evan offers to get me a drink but I decline. I'd rather just dance right now, I say, still feeling the pregame drinks in my veins. He gives me a dangerous smile then leads me away from the group. We begin to sway on the dance floor, the liquid courage is helping, but I'm still self-conscious with him. What if I don't dance as well as last time? It's hard to focus with his eyes on me. It must be written on my face. Just relax and let go, he says in my ear loud enough to be heard over the speakers. He lets me go and we both start moving easily to the beat. It's actually kind of fun, way more than last time. A little while later, Evan and Chris begin a game of getting random strangers to go up to the DJ booth and suggest the weirdest songs to play. When Evan somehow convinces a drunk guy to get the DJ to play the Pina Colada song, I lose it and we all can't stop laughing. We often have breaks for drinks before getting right back into it. Evan's hands never leave my waist and I hate to admit that it feels better than I anticipated. I am fully grinding on him now and he is loving it. I shimmy down so I'm bent over in front of him, before straightening up and leaning back on him. I smile into his neck then quickly wiggle out of his grasp. Alcohol makes me brave. Hey, he whines and reaches out for me. Buy me a drink. You are such a tease. You love it. I slur soft and slow. He huffs but follows me through the now overly crowded dance floor to the bar. There are so many people everywhere, it almost reminds me of why I don't usually go out. I push my way to the front, but only have a few seconds to think about what I want to order before someone taps on my shoulder. Hey Tara, can we talk? I turn to see James and just about fall over. Same jeans, same shirt, same grin. Why is he smiling at me? He goes to grab my elbow, but I slide away from him and land in Evan's arms. You okay, babe? Babe? What are you, her boyfriend? James asks. I was about to ask you the same thing. Except there's an X in there somewhere, isn't there? Evan mocks. So, you're interested in her too, then? Oh, I'm definitely interested in her. And if you ever come near her again, I'll make you regret it. Oh. I do not want to fight in front of me right now. Guys, I push through them and stand holding them apart. Evan pushes his chest into my hand, and I'm afraid he's going to actually fight James for me. I don't know why he's worried, like I'd ever be interested in him, again. Hey! Is this the guy? A large guy yells in the crowd and everyone parts in front of him, leading him straight to us in a sea of people. Yeah, that's him, babe. A smaller voice calls out from behind him, and it's then that I recognize Julia, from the lobby. Oh shit. I mutter under my breath. I heard you were talking shit to my girlfriend earlier. His voice booms out. But instead of addressing Evan, he's talking to James. Chapter 17. A couple days later, I got home from school in an angry mood. I was so annoyed at the world. But one look at Evan and it dissolved. All the anger gone. He looked like sex on a stick with his cheekbones prominent and smiling at me. I convinced him to stay sleeping in my bed while I went to my class Monday morning. He was already planning on skipping his own morning classes already, so it wasn't that difficult. I need you. Right now. Get on my bed. Wow, you're crazier than me. He replies, but does as I ask. He sits on the edge as I close and lock the door. I walk up to him and he gently grabs my ass to massage it. Rough day? I sigh and he moves up to massage my lower back. The worst. Let me see what I can do. He says and lifts up my shirt to attach himself to my stomach. He starts sucking, but exaggerated, and it starts to tickle me. Evan. I shriek and laugh, but he holds me close and moves around to my hip. I full-on belly laugh and he stops because I can feel him smiling. More? Okay. New. But he starts up again and I laugh harder. I lock my fingers in his hair and give a light pull. It momentarily distracts him enough for me to wiggle out of his arms and flop on the bed. He climbs on top of me and pins me down. Hey, Fox. Hey, baby. He melts when I call him that and I melt watching him. He leans forward and kisses me like we have all the time in the world. I know something that will cheer you up. Shortbread? You like shortbread the most out of all the choices? I ask him in disbelief. He shrugs at all the different choices and cookies offered at the cafe. Shortbread was not my first choice. I'm going to call you shortbread now. I declare. He frowns. Please don't. People might think it's a euphemism for something. Is it? I challenge. He blue eyes jerk up to mine and look into me deeply. You know it isn't. I gulp and try not to look down at his jeans. I did know, but I wanted more. He goes back to his cookie and we walk back to our favorite table at the cafe. He continues to demolish it, leaving crumbs all over the table. Feeling brave, I ask, maybe I should see it again. He coughs loudly and sputters. What? I'm blushing really hard, but at this point I don't care. Just to be sure. For research purposes. I say coyly and try to flirt. He's staring at me with wide eyes. Evan? Sure, he says too loudly. He clears his throat and says normally. Sure. When? Trying to play it cool. I playfully tap my chin. I'll try to fit you into my very busy school schedule. I'm very busy, you know. He narrows his eyes at me when I smile at him and reach across and grab his hand. Alex comes in the door and Evan grips my hand tighter so I can't pull it back. The cafe isn't overly busy, so she sees us right away and makes her way over. Well, if it isn't the newlyweds. What? You both have that faraway dreamy look in your eyes. Not to mention you're both blushing to the max right now. She replies. I tilt my head forward and try to get my hair to cover some of my blushing face. What do you want, Alex? Evan asks, a little annoyed. I rub my thumb over his hand to calm him. I'm also kind of upset that she's interrupting the moment, but glad to see her anyway. Can't I just say hello to my brother? Hello, sister. He says grimly. She doesn't seem to notice. Anyway, Nate and I were wondering if you guys would like to go on a double date with us. I notice she is mostly asking me. She glances at our hands together on the table. It's a weird request because we haven't really outright talked about it since she first found out about us. Nate wants to do this? Evan can't believe it. Yes. We think it will be fun. What do you say? She asks me again, biting her lip. I look at Evan and he doesn't look happy. But Alex looks so hopeful. Okay. When were you thinking? I give in. Great, she claps her hands and turns to Evan. Meet us at the house around 7. We're going skating. She beams at us. He tries not to show it, but when she says skating he instantly brightens. I can tell he's trying not to smile too. Okay. We'll be there. I tell her and she walks away like she's won a prize. When she leaves, I turn my attention back to Evan and our hands together. He looks so cute with his boyish grin on his face. I can tell he's thinking the same thing about me by the look he gives me. I think that maybe one day we should make out. He declares. Did you have a day in mind? He laughs and leans across the table and kisses me. It's an unfortunate PDA kiss, and while normally I'd be cursing out the couple doing it, I can't seem to stop myself from kissing him back. Later that day, once we've made it back to my dorm room to change and get ready, we climb into Evan's truck and head out of the city. We hold hands the entire time and it's really nice. A giddy feeling swirls around my stomach while I smile out the window. When we pull into the family farm's yard again, I feel welcome and accepted all at the same time. He drives us up to the house and we see Nate's car already there. I'll just grab the old pairs of skates from the shop. He throws the truck in park. Do you have a preference? What size are you? Preference? Yeah, like hockey skates or like figure skates. Oh, hockey skates please. I should be like a size 8? I think. It's been a while. I have been skating before, but not in a long time. My dad used to take me and my sister. Okay, he takes my hand and kisses it. I'll see what I can find. When he opens the door of the truck, Jordan and his mom poke their heads out of the front door. Before I can accuse him of being too cheesy, Mary yells, "Don't make her just sit in the truck and wait. Bring her in." Evan sighs, then looks at me over his shoulder and shrugs. I squint my eyes at his smug smile. Chapter 18 Facebook official? Are you sure? I ask uneasily. Yeah, why not? My mind flashes back to Julia who had seen us together in the lobby and I start to worry about if others see us online. If I'm pressuring you, just say. Don't worry, we can do it whenever you're ready. He kisses my forehead and flops down on my bed. My dorm room always looks smaller with him in it. I just think that maybe you should meet my parents first. I shrug and pick at a thread on my sweater. I don't want to hurt his feelings, but I don't want to move too fast either. He catches my eye and grins, absolutely. Yeah? I ask surprised. It's just, you don't seem like a meet the parents kind of guy. He sits up and reaches out for me, bringing me to stand in front of him. I'd love to meet your family. I want to see where you came from. Swooin. Yeah, my smile cracks my face in half. Yeah, baby. He pulls me down on top of him and kisses me. I start to kiss him back and his hands find their way under the hem of my shirt. Evan, I begin and his phone rings. Ugh, he rolls me off of him and pulls his phone out of his jeans pocket. It's just my mom. He ignores it and lets it ring. At this time of night? It might be important. I bite my nails and look at the clock on my desk saying 10:38 p.m. The phone stops ringing and he pulls me back on top of him. Nah, if it was important, she would have called twice. Oh, I sigh as he kisses my neck. A minute later we hear a scream come from Alex's room. I swear, if Nate's in there I am going to kill him. Evan says, but barely gets the sentence out before someone starts kicking down my door. Evan. Are you in there? I get up and quickly open the door. Alex? Where's Evan? It's Jordan. Jordan? What Evan comes to stand behind me. There's been an accident. She's in the hospital. She sobs into the phone in her hand and slumps to the ground. After several strings of curses from Evan, we both help her off the floor and to a chair at the kitchen table before he takes the phone from her. He looks grim, but tells Mary he loves her and that they'll be there as soon as they can before hanging up. It's family only for now. I'll call you as soon as I know anything. He promises me with a kiss on the forehead before they take off in Evan's truck for the hospital. It's now 1 a.m. and I have no idea what to do with myself. I watch mindless YouTube videos, do crunches in my room, organize my desk, and pinch myself countless times for thinking the worst. But nothing can distract my mind from worry. What kind of accident? Was she driving? I didn't think she was old enough to drive yet. I don't sleep at all, just stare up at the ceiling. Around 7 a.m. the next day, I get a text from Alex. Hey, sorry, but I won't be back to school for a bit. I have to be with my family now. Have a good break. I'll see you when I see you. Weird. Doesn't say anything about her sister. Should I text Evan? Maybe they don't know anything. He said he would tell me as soon as he did. I decide to wait. Is there anything I can do? Can I bring you something? I reply. It takes almost an hour before she responds. If you see Nate, tell him I'm sorry. Another half hour later my phone rings. It's Evan. Hey, baby, are you doing okay? Hey, Tara. He sounds so tired. She's gone. I can't believe she's gone. What? The room sways and my vision narrows into a tunnel of darkness. Gone? I can't believe it. My legs stop working and buckle from my weight. I take 3 big steps in the dark from my desk to my bed and dive head first. Tara? What was that? He asks concerned. I stutter. I just kind of fell. But I'm okay. I roll onto my side and take in a shaky breath. I can't move my body. Everything is too heavy. What happened? I don't know. But I'm going to find out. His words leave a chill down my spine. I think, he sighs and somehow sounds even more tired. I think I need to be on my own for a bit. I squeak, the tears come full force now. Oh. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to act. I don't know how to be. If it were my sister, I don't know what I'd do. If that's what you need. I choke out. I mean, if that's what you think is best. I'll support you however you need. Baby girl, that's not what I mean. He sighs again, his voice cracks, I need to figure some things out. I'll call you as soon as I can. Okay? Okay. I whisper. I'll be there as soon as I can. Evan? Yeah? I'm so sorry. I am too. I call my parents and tell them what has happened as soon as Evan hangs up on me. They tell me to come home as soon as my finals are finished, and that I should return for the funeral to stay after that for the next semester. I couldn't argue with them. I need to get home and hug my sister as soon as possible. Jordan died on December 17, 2017. The obituary says that she was a lovely and bright young woman, and she will be missed by everyone who had the pleasure of knowing her. I bawled my eyes out when I read the online article. Her family even added photos of her playing sports and doing things she loved. A photo of her and Sadie was at the end with the words "You will be missed" underneath. All I can do is sit in my sister's lap, letting her shush me and soothe my hair. I returned to school and my dorm room on the 20th of December. I knew I had to, no matter how difficult it's going to be seeing her casket. I shiver and pull on my new black dress, but refuse to put any makeup on, like I have the whole last week. Staring at my reflection consisting of red-rimmed eyes and a puffy nose, I wonder how anything like this could be possible. Evan still hasn't called me. It's hard enough going through something like this, let alone on your own. Why hasn't he called me? Alex had at least texted me yesterday and told me that Nate would swing by the dorm to pick up a few things for her. I plan to catch a ride with him to the service. It's a little church past their house in the Big Valley area. I finish getting ready in time before Nate comes upstairs using her ID and keys to pick me up. We ride to the church in silence, neither of us knowing what to say. When we arrive, I look up at the little church that will celebrate Jordan's life. Tears well in my eyes when I see how many people are here. There are way too many people in the parking lot to fit in the church because she was so loved. What will they do? We slowly weave around people and I notice what must be her entire high school class here with all of their parents. She touched so many lives. How is this fair? Nate leaves me to go find Alex, so I awkwardly stand outside the church by myself until I figure out that I actually have to push my way through the people to get inside. Finally reaching the door, I search through the crowd for Evan. Everyone that can fit is just milling about and making excruciating small talk about everything. Anything to subside the pain. I start panicking when I can't see him. Usually he's the tallest, most carefree guy in a room, so I can always find him. Not here. I gasp when I spot him near the front. Both his eyes are dark and swollen. From crying or fighting, it's hard to tell from here. His hair is disheveled and he's just standing there like a statue. Someone is talking to him and his dad, but I can see he's getting frustrated. I squeeze through the others finding seats around me and walk up to the front. He catches my eye when I'm halfway there and I hesitate. His gaze doesn't soften and he looks almost angry. Does he want to see me? Am I intruding? I'm not family after all. Should I even be up here? I slow my steps and stop. He excuses himself from the men around him and stalks towards me. His dark-rimmed eyes never leaving mine. His face guards his thoughts. Tara. He whispers and takes my hand. I'm so glad you're here. I breathe a huge sigh of relief. Are you okay? I ask and try to hug him. Not here. He squeezes my hand. Let's go. He pulls me past the pews and past the casket. I look over and see Mary crying hysterically and hugging Jordan as she lays there. Alex is trying to pull her off as I look away. This is private. I shouldn't be here. There's too much emotion. I think I'm going to pass out. Evan? Just through here. He squeezes my hand in a tighter grip and I start to lose circulation. Evan? You're hurting me. Oh, sorry, babe. He relaxes his hand a bit. Where are we going? I ask because he's starting to really scare me. I haven't talked to him in over a week and was invited to the funeral by only Alex, and now he's pulling me into a dark corner behind the main room of the church. Just here. He brings me to a medium-sized room filled with stained glass and flowers everywhere. I realize this is probably the overflow room for the condolences bouquets. The sunlight catches the colors in the windows which light up the room. He pulls me over to a bench and sits down heavily on it, all his grief plain for me to see. I sit down tentatively next to him. His bright eyes stare at the floor. I'm so sorry, I screwed up. Please don't leave. What? What do you mean? I shouldn't have shut you out. I just couldn't believe that she was gone. My little sister is gone. His voice catches. I let go of his hand and wrap my arms around him in a hug. He lets me pull him close and buries his face in my neck. I shush him and whisper, I'm not going anywhere, at the same time he tells me I missed you so much. I hold him like that for a long time. Evan? Should we go back? I tell him, getting worried that someone would be worried and looking for us. No. I can't face it. I'm not ready. I can't. He stutters and I understand. Okay, it's okay. We can stay right here until you're ready. We stay like that for so long, we both tremble not only from the pain of the loss, but from the cold of the room. Chapter 19. When we finally leave the room, the service is over and everyone is heading to the little graveyard for the burial. Come on, Evan grabs my hand and pulls me to the parking lot. We pass his parents on the way out, but they don't notice us. I'll give them a ride, don't worry, an older man says to us as we pass. Evan nods to him and I offer a sad smile as well. Faces blur together as we pass. Everyone wants to give Evan their condolences, but he just wants to get out of here as soon as possible. The bright white snow glitters down onto the roof of the darkened church. When we finally make it outside to the parking lot, the wind seems to cut us in half. I can feel myself losing my grip on his arm when we stop at the front of his truck. I go to open my mouth to ask him what's wrong, but I already know the answer. Everything. I'm making a small squeaking noise instead. I know, baby. He squeezes my hand. Let's get out of here. I crawl in the passenger's side of his truck and pull on my seatbelt. I don't know how many times I've been in a vehicle and not known that it could have been my last. I shudder thinking about it. Evan starts his truck and pulls out of the parking lot, carefully driving around so many young girls and their families. Jordan was a young girl. Too young. Everyone else is at the burial site before us because Evan felt like driving around for a while first. I didn't complain. I wasn't ready either. We find the secluded cemetery on a gravel back road. Small, private, peaceful. When we park on the side of the ditch, I pull my hand through his and walk slowly with him to the crowd. We may be near the big city, but technically Evan's family belongs to the small-town community of Big Valley about 20 minutes further past his house. It looks like everyone in the whole town and surrounding area is here. Were there this many people at the church? We politely walk through everyone towards the front, and thankfully no one stops us. Her casket is here, just silently sitting. Almost like it's waiting for us to open it and find it all a big joke. Almost. Evan walks me over to his mom, Mary, and she takes my arm. Before I can say anything, he walks away to the others who were selected to carry her over to the grave. I watch him go, and so does Mary. I can tell she's losing it by the way she's squeezing and twisting my arm. I can't imagine what she's going through. Watching one baby lowering another baby into the ground. I squeeze her hand back. There is too much emotion for me to handle when we're asked if anyone would like to say a few last words. It's like the idea of never seeing her again hits the hardest right then. She's being buried. She's never coming back. Evan comes back to stand between me and his mom, and we both lean on him. But he steps out again to drop a handful of dirt on his sister when prompted. My knees sway beneath me, and I can tell his mom is having trouble standing as well. We cling to each other like a lifeline. Evan comes back and hugs his mother. She just hugs him back. Neither of them can do anything more for Jordan. I remember thinking this as I fall. Thankfully not onto the ground, but into the arms of a bystander who saw me swaying all afternoon and happened to catch me as my knees finally buckle beneath me. I drift in and out of the next few minutes. I wake up in a panic on a bench off to the side of the grave site. Evan is holding my head in his lap and trying to keep my hands warm. Hey, Fox, his voice breaks. I look up at his eyes and see tears streaming down his face. I know it was clear that I needed a distraction to get out of there, but you didn't have to commit so much. He jokes. I reach up and gently wipe the tears off his cheeks. They're almost frozen. Sorry. I whisper, my throat dry. He closes his eyes and leans into my hands. No, thank you. I actually needed to get out of there and sit down too. He breathes. I'm still lightheaded, but I can tell I'm doing better by sitting. A few minutes later, his dad walks over to us and tells us we can go home. Evan flat out asks if I can stay with them. I turn to him in surprise, but he doesn't look at me, just nods when his dad says yes. We'd be happy to have you, he tells me with a sad smile. We'll see you guys there. Evan says and takes my arm in his. Is it really okay that I spend Christmas with you and your family? I don't want to intrude. I ask once his dad goes back to find his mom hugging more people. Evan slowly looks at me and blinks. Of course. For me and for Alex. We shouldn't be alone right now. I figured that out. I squeeze his knee. Okay. I'd be honored. He takes my hands and helps me up, then starts leading me towards the truck. I sneak one last glance at Jordan. She's already been semi-lowered into her final resting place. So young. So full of hope. We drive straight back to the farmhouse once Evan's recovered. No extra driving around, no stalling. We park near the barn and walk through the deep snow to get to the house. Lots of other vehicles fill up the driveway, and I wonder how many followed us here. Sadie runs up to us in an excited state, and it makes my heart break even more. She'll never know why Jordan never comes back. Even I know she loved that dog. Tara? I snap out of my daydream of all that could have been. What kind of a life she could have lived. She didn't get to graduate, she didn't get to marry, she didn't get to see the world. Evan says my name again and I turn to him. Come on, let's go warm up. He rubs my hands to get warmth in them again. I pat Sadie on the head one more time before following him into the house. There are people all around us, mostly filling the kitchen. A couple of women are stuffing the fridge with casseroles and other dishes people have brought over. The majority of people who came to the house are in the living room with Evan's parents. But when we walk in, they quiet down their conversation. Oh, like they don't need to know this too. Mary waves her arms around, glass in hand. She looks fragile by herself on the big couch. Evan was the one who went to find out. She adds. And did he? For sure, his dad sadly prompts her. Seemingly the only one of the pair not to be drinking. Well, we know enough, don't we? The boy she was with isn't being truthful. She slurs and takes another drink from her glass. What happened to her? Wasn't she just sober at the burial? Mom, Evan warns. She ignores him, even though she was just talking about him. What do you mean? He lied about what happened. A woman by the fireplace asks. I don't recognize her. Or any of the other faces in the room for that matter.
What's up, story lovers? This is the Story Guy, and if you're hungry for crazy tales and mind-blowing narratives, you've come to the right place. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our weekly dose of crazy cheating stories, fun fiction and gut-ripping comedy from around the world. But that's not all. We also create our own original stories, and trust me, you won't find these anywhere else. Want even more spine-tingling reads? Head down to the description and grab our exclusive story collections. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.